Hey, She Ace That listeners, find us on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. Every subscribe, like, and follow goes a long way, and I can't thank you all enough for your support. And with that, let's get into today's episode. Hey, everybody, welcome back to She Ace That. It's your host, Alexandra, and today we have an amazing guest. I'm super excited to hear her journey, Bella Bergmark. She started her college career at California and had one of Pac-12's best hitting percentages. She's also had 2 NCAA championships at Texas and now is a professional volleyball player with Athletes Unlimited, someone who's experienced volleyball at the highest levels across multiple continents. So, Bella, can you just tell our listeners the differences you noticed from the collegiate level volleyball to professional and kind of where you are now at Athletes Unlimited?
Yeah, well, I just want to say thank you for having me. I'm very excited to do one of these interviews. It's always fun. Yeah, I think that there's actually a lot of differences. The level definitely changes a lot when you go from college to professional. One of the things I notice is that professional, everything is run a lot faster. I am generalizing here, so obviously there's going to be exceptions to this. When I was in France, we would set really fast to the pins. Middle would also run pretty fast. And, it forces, as a middle blocker, forces you to, make decisions early and have to commit on something. And you have to do a lot of scouting just based on the setter that you're playing against, her previous games and things like that in order to decide, because sometimes the speed is so fast, you really have no time. I also noticed that internationally, they use the right side a lot more than we do in the States. Typically, they play 6 rotations, and they're an option everywhere on the court, and not just when they're in the front row. It also creates opportunities for middles who are in that 2-hitter rotation to stay in front if they want as well, because if they have a strong opposite coming out of the back row behind them from area 1, then the offense is still spread out that way. You definitely serve tougher. You have to serve tough. If you don't serve tough, then it's going to be really, really, really hard to defend. I remember in college, the sets are pretty high. I remember thinking dang, I can close any block. I'm a good blocker. I can close
Yeah.
anything. And then I went to pro and was like, whoa, okay, I think that maybe we just set the ball a lot higher in college than we do professionally. And also in college, I found that there was not a lot of people who were jumping higher than above me. So when I was blocking, I did not see it very often. In pro, you got really tall girls and you got girls who just jump higher than you've ever seen in your life.
I give you a lot of credit for being a middle. I grew up playing middle. I was always stuck there. I'm only 5'10", but it was just always that dynamic of finding the tallest girl on your team, and then you're stuck in that position. You're the one that's closing every block. You're the one going up for every hit. You're the one always trying to pull off the other blockers. I really respect you for playing that position, especially at a professional level. It's really crazy to understand the minimal amount of volleyball players or athletes in general that can play at a college level and then go to play at a professional level. And you've checked both those boxes. And so I guess my question for you, especially as a middle, because love middles, and that's something I really want to talk to you about, is what drew you to playing middle, and when did you know that was going to be your position for the rest of your volleyball career?
I actually started my career as an outside. So I think from the
Okay.
time, as a little kid, that, you don't really have a position, but my first actual given position was outside. And I didn't switch to middle until I was a sophomore in high school. And I don't know exactly what, I think one day one of my coaches was like, we were getting some extra reps before practice. And she's like, come hit out the middle. And I was like, okay. And she was like, wow, you're hitting the ball really hard. You're hitting it harder than you normally do. I was like, well, I don't know. It's just supposed to go fast, right? I'm just supposed to jump high fast and swing fast. And she's like, I have an idea. She's like, I think we're going to put you in the middle. So I'm like, shoot, okay. At the time, I just thought about playing in college. I had no idea what that would look like or where it would go and what my future would look like. I was just kind of going with the flow. I just stuck with volleyball because I just happened to be getting better at it. So I think since I was a sophomore in high school, that was the same year I got recruited there to Cal. They recruited me even though I had only been playing in middle for a few months. They saw potential in me and they thought I was athletic and was, I think, a good learner most of all. So I have actually had stints of playing on the opposite. I think when I was in Puerto Rico, sometimes I would hit on the right side. There was
Yeah.
a game or two where I went on the right side. Sometimes I'll be like, hey, serve at me before practice, and I'll try to pass and stuff. But pretty much since I was in high school, a sophomore, I'd say it's just been middle.
when we're really stuck in one position and then it kind of takes off from there. And I feel like from a physical level, obviously, you're tall and you jump high and you're very athletic, but there's also a mental aspect to middles that how do you make sure you're reading hitters properly and anticipating plays, especially at the faster level pace?
Well, I think that, like, your scouting report is so, so, so important. Going into a game blind, I don't even know how. I guess maybe because it's not as fast, but in clubs, like, you just kinda show up, and you just play a team, and you're just like, "Okay." But at this level, I cannot imagine you showing up and saying, "Okay, just go read the situation and go." Because some things are so fast that you need to know what the tendencies are ahead of time at this point. But just doing research on the setter that you are gonna be playing against. What does she like to do? What tempo does she like to run? Does she like to reverse the flow? Does she like to play over? Like, does she like to run like a gap go or a three go? Some people have different terminologies for it, but just learning her tendencies. And then also, I like to watch a ton of film before every game, specifically on the setter. Like, I just watch over and over and over again. Like, what do her hands look like? What does her footwork look like? How is she releasing the ball? Where is she taking the ball? I think most setters give themselves away at some point. And as you get into the pros, it's really difficult. There's some really talented, experienced setters who do not show, who are very deceptive. But I think I pride myself on being able to read setters pretty well. But yeah, it just takes a lot of time just watching and film, 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 film. Like, okay, what does she look
Hmm.
like? What does she look like? Because even having that like split, like those few milliseconds to just release before lets the ball out of her hands will make the biggest difference in the block. The hitters, I watch a lot of film on hitters too. How does their body change when they change like direction? Are they set dependent? Do they just go with their line of approach? Does their approach speed up or does it start slow down when they're going to roll shot? Things like that. It's a bunch of things to pay attention to. What information are they revealing to you that you can use to help you make your decision and help release earlier on the block?
You learn so much about opponents. You can learn so much just by watching somebody, even if it's for a few minutes and knowing what you're looking for. I did want to ask you about your career at California. You started as a freshman multiple times in the Pac-12. Your redshirt year, what was the defining factor for that, even with starting? And like, how did you use that to, develop and emerge your future after that?
Well, I think initially my coaches wanted me to redshirt my freshman year, but at the time, like during preseason, I just was kind of outperforming the sophomore middle that we had. So they're like, "Well, if you're doing the job right now, then we're just gonna play you. We need our best players out there." And then once preseason passed, the older middle started improving her connection and stuff, and I ended up not starting the rest of the season. So I think all the middles on the team were pretty close in age. So it was me, and then there was two sophomore. One ended up going to Florida later on. One ended up going to Baylor after that. But I think they wanted to they wanted to spread us out in ages as well, and they also just wanted to give me some more time to develop because coming into the NCAA as a middle is really hard because even though the speed increases going from college to pro, it also increases going from club to college. And I remember I was talking with my coach from Texas, Jared Elliott. I remember him saying like, yeah, I mean, we had, you know, Asia O'Neal, who's like the top recruit in the country, and we had her redshirt her freshman year because the level, the speed it just takes a little bit longer to adapt to it. So yeah, I think that's kind of what they had in mind, having me redshirt my sophomore year.
I didn't even realize how much, you hear transfer portal in general, but like I didn't realize how common it is to transfer between colleges and, do what's best for yourself and also for your other teams or where you could go and where you see yourself. You transferred to Texas, you had back-to-back championship titles. And what made you decide it was time for a new chapter and why there specifically?
So basically, because of COVID and because of my red shirt, I had 2 seasons left after my fourth season at Cal. And I don't know, I hadn't really seen the court since I was a freshman, right? Because my sophomore year was I redshirted, and then my junior year was COVID. I spent a lot of time just like waiting, waiting, waiting. Kind of felt like a tiger in a cage, if that makes sense.
Oh,
And then once we finally came back to the court, the area we were in California was we're probably one of the last regions in the country to return back to in-person stuff after COVID.
wow.
Yeah, I just felt like it was just hard for us as a team to like come back from COVID. And I've always wanted to like see what I can do. I never want to have any regrets thinking, what if I had just tried harder? Or what if I had just pushed myself more? Or what if I had just taken that chance? And we had like a spring season, which didn't count towards my eligibility. It was okay after COVID. I hadn't played in a long time. But then the next fall, I worked my tail off all summer and I was locked in mentally and I had a great season. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough to, help the team as much as we wanted. We had like I had a pretty low winning record that season at Cal, my last year at Cal. And I kind of just had the feeling I was like, I just feel like can do so much more and I want to do more. And I feel like I want to be in an environment where I am pushed to bring out my excellence. And I felt like I loved my experience at Cal, but I just felt like I wanted to be with other, like, I felt like the big fish in the sense, like they say in
Mhm.
club, you go from being like a big fish in a small pond to a small fish in a big pond. But I felt like at that point, at being a senior, with a lot of girls who are still new, like coming in from COVID and stuff like that, I was like, huh, I do feel like I just want to see like what happens when I just elevate the level around me. And so for me, I was like, yeah, I think I'm gonna just see what happens. It was scary though. It was so, so scary because I loved Cal. I didn't know who was gonna reach out. I didn't know like at the time, I don't know. I'm sure people like there's so many shady things that can happen in the transfer portal now. Money was not even part of the question at the time. I was just praying like, okay, I just want to make like a top 30 team. Like that's my goal. Like, I hope. My coach at Cal was like, well, because of the time of year, I think it was March. He's like, well, because of the time of year, people aren't going to have money for you. So you sure you don't want to stay here? And money is in scholarship. And
Yeah.
that made me question things like, oh my God, I'm like spiraling. Like, what should I do? Like, I feel like I want to reach my full potential and I want to see what the world has in store for me. And like, do I take this risk? Do I not? Like, what if I take it and nobody wants me? And then, yeah, my strength coach actually did this little exercise with me at the time. He was like, all right, well, because I had consulted him a little bit, or he had consoled me a little. I don't know.
Yeah.
I was close with him, and he kind of listened to me think about this process, and he was like, "All right, well, let's flip a coin. Let's decide. Let's flip a coin." And I was like, "Oh my God, are you serious?" And he was like, "Yeah, let's do it."
Yeah.
He's like, "Heads, you stay. Tails, you leave." And I said, "Oh shoot, oh shoot. Okay, okay, okay. Let's do it. Let's do it." And he flips the
Yeah.
coin. He flips the coin, and it hits the floor, and it starts spinning. And then he steps on it really fast. He asked me right then, he's like, "Okay, what did you want it to be?"
Mhm.
And I was like, "Oh, shit." Oh, sorry, I shouldn't swear. I was like,
Oh, you're
"Shoot."
fine.
I know, I was like, "I already know my answer." He's like, "What? You were hoping for a result? What were you hoping for? Like, you don't have to tell me, but you have your answer." And he was right. He was right. And so, like, the next day, I entered the transfer portal and, yeah, within 24 hours, I had a call from Jared and was on a visit to go to Texas within 48 hours after that call.
Wow.
And perfect timing because I was on spring break, so I didn't miss class or anything. Was really just a whirlwind time. I had to go take the GRE because I was applying to grad programs, and I was like, "What? I didn't study," and I just like boom. Next day, showed up in San Francisco, took this test, didn't study at all. I was going all over like calls with coaches. My thing was like blowing up. Like my email, my text. I'm like, how did you get my number? Like I would wake up for
Yeah.
calls from like I'm like literally wake me up out of my sleep. Like, is this Bella Bergmark? I'm like, yeah, who is this? Oh, hi, this is Coach from so and so. We know you're in the portal. I'm like, I'm sorry. Like I gotta call you back in a little bit. Like this is too early to be talking about this right now.
Yeah.
So was in conversations with a few different teams, but I just knew by far my best offers. I couldn't really turn it down. I also really connected with the coaches. in the team. I was expecting it to be kind of like, I'll just show up and, at the time, I think Texas had a reputation for being like a little bit toxic, it had a reputation for being like there being some mean girls. I don't know. My full expectation was I'm just gonna show up, I'm gonna do my thing. I don't care if I have no friends. I just came here to play volleyball. That's it. I have a kick-ass degree from Berkeley, like one of the best ones you can get in the world. I'm not worried about the education piece. I just wanna like the city I'm in and I wanna play good volleyball. That's it. And I felt like Austin had both of those. But then when I showed up, I was embraced with like all this love and kindness, which I was, not expecting. It was a nice surprise. And then everything else happened after that.
I just hope you, at the end of the day, got the validation of like, nope, this is what I deserve and this is where I'm meant to be and I'm meant to shine. And like, look at where you are now. And I just really give you a lot of credit for putting yourself in that situation, even though you didn't know what your next steps were, but you were at least giving yourself the opportunity to play somewhere else, even at a better level for potential championships and then going to pro now. It's like you don't owe anybody to define like your worth and your success in volleyball. And I just think it's a really, really cool path for you.
Appreciate that. I think it's funny, like it's funny hearing you say that. I had the conversation yesterday with some of the girls here. We were doing this kumbaya bonding weekly session, and we were talking
Yeah.
about sort of how volleyball, it can be the most beautiful thing in your life and the most painful thing in your life. Hearing your perspective, like your perception of my career is really interesting because, from my perspective, I think of all the things I still haven't done yet. And like, I think of all the things I still want to do and like all the areas I need to get better. And
Yeah.
like, so it is refreshing hearing an outside perspective and like, wow, like you should feel so confident and like proud of yourself. I was just talking to my friends yesterday and what makes you feel confident? And one of the things I said was, I wish it wasn't this way, but external validation really helps me. And I want to be able
Yeah.
to motivate myself on the court. But hearing people say, like, wow, you're doing really great, or I'm like proud of you, or like my setters saying, like, if you're killing it, my coach is saying you're killing it, that is really motivating to me. But I wish it wasn't like that because when it's not, you can't rely on that to always be there. And they were saying, this is something that you kind of just learn with time. And experience. It's kinda one of those things that comes in cycles, like, when I
Yeah.
first got to Texas, it was the same way as well, and then it was great, and then I was able to, like, be more balanced mentally, but it always comes back, sort of the confidence piece. It is nice hearing your perspective and your perception of my career.
No, Bella, it's amazing. I think it's just something that's instilled at us is like we're always wanting better. We're expecting better of ourselves. We're expecting better of our teammates, our coaches. And I think it's natural to always long for something, like what is our next goal? What's our next target? But I just think sometimes we put that, on ourselves and I don't know. It's just like I was talking to the Michigan State head volleyball coach the other week, and I asked her, I was like, you've played collegiate levels, you've coached collegiate levels, like, did you make it yet? And she's like, no, because she's like, I didn't even know if this was going to be where I ended up. And I don't know. And we know we can, right? Everybody, like, we're human. We can always improve. We can always make those changes and decisions ourselves. But I think it's like when is enough. And I think as an athlete, it's really hard to define like that final goal.
Yeah. We did talk about this yesterday too, with some players who had,
Hmm.
retired, and they were saying that at one point, there did come a time when they were just, "I know what I can do. I know what I need to do.
Yeah.
I'm not happy about it. I'm not mad about it. I just am." And that's when they knew that they're like, "Okay, I think I'm done." But that was,
Yeah.
like, so many years down the line, like, from where I am now. That's after, like, having a career of 10 plus
Yeah.
years playing professionally. So, yeah, I don't know. I think most people probably never get to the point where they're like, "I'm good. I think I'm okay."
Right. Yeah, I agree. And I feel like if our brain, like our mental state and physically, how do you even take care of your body to continue playing at this high of a level now?
Well, I do think that, I like to think of it as like everything is inertia, like things in motion stay in motion.
Yep.
And like if you stop, it's hard to come back. But I think
Yeah.
once you're an athlete, you train, you have practice, you have the off season, just, you lift, you stay in somewhat shape. It's not as big of a deal as maybe it seems from an outside perspective.
Yeah.
It's definitely not as difficult as, like, I think being completely sedentary and trying to get back in shape really fast. I think that is very difficult. But also, maybe at this point, I'm just numb to it. Like having a consistent, like if the workout doesn't hit the threshold of intensity, then it's not good enough or something. That mindset, I'm sure, is pretty toxic outside of the athletic environment. But
I get
I
it
guess
though.
also every year I do feel like it takes me a little bit longer to recover, though. Um, like I'm very lucky to have never had any serious injuries, knock on wood, besides like a small thumb problem. But every year things start popping up, My hips start popping up, my shoulders starting to like hurt, and it just becomes a maintenance thing. And I
Yeah.
think at this point, most of the chronic injuries I feel like people at this level have, it's kind of all right, we'll just maintain it so it doesn't get worse. And you just plan on
Right.
it until you need surgery. And then at that point, we
Yeah.
decide, okay, do we need surgery to keep playing? Or do you want to have surgery and stop? Or do you not want surgery, but you can't keep playing? It's
Yeah.
kind of one of those things. Because at this point, a lot of the problems that people we have is just like wear and tear stuff and overusage stuff. But yeah, I mean, obviously,
You
you can't be eating like fried foods all the time. And there's so much about our diet that contributes to inflammation. I mean, it's not bad to have sweets. I have sweets, but you know, we're definitely probably eating more protein than the average person and probably having different types of carbs than the average person. Yeah.
do you feel like you guys have good support when it comes to body maintenance? Do you feel like you're set up for success when it comes to performance and potential injuries?
It depends. It really depends. It has to do with the work you do before season starts, like in the off season. It
Mhm.
has to do with who is training you. Are you doing it on your own? Are you working with someone? Sometimes in the off season, it's hard to connect with someone to help you, set up your lifts. At this, like, I mean, theoretically, I could. I've been doing this so long, I could remember from memory, like lifts to do to like keep me in shape. But it's easier to have someone who has a degree in this stuff kind of help you figure all that stuff out. But then it's
Yeah.
also this is someone that you trust because there's so many different ways to train the body these days. And especially when I was in France, it was completely different than when I was in Puerto Rico compared to when I was in Texas compared to when I was in Cal. There's so many different philosophies on how to maintain good physical condition. Yeah, it really depends. I think as you get older, the responsibility is really on you. It's up to you. I think in college, it's very regulated. It's like, okay, show up at the gym. This is the time. During pro, it's the same. Like, show up. It's like, this is the time. But in the off season, we're not training in the off season every day like you are in the springtime in college. In the off season, it's up to you. It's up to you to be in shape when you show up. A lot of people have good connections with their former college strength coaches. I know I do. I tend to have a really good relationship, but the gym is like my favorite place on earth. So I have a great relationship with my strength coach from Cal. I have a great relationship with my strength coach from Texas. And so if I ever need anything, I just reach out to them. And I've had a few
Yeah.
others along the way too. But it's very, I would say you have to be pretty independent at this point. Yeah.
Yeah. How was that process and even like getting out of college and then deciding that was your next step? Like, was that even a question for you?
So honestly, my whole life, I thought I was just gonna go into, like, medical sales or be a doctor or, like, go into commercial real estate. Like, my whole life was like, I'm gonna be a corporate beast. And, because it's like, "What do you wanna be when you grow up?" And then you go to Cal, and, like, everyone around you's a genius, and you're like, "Okay, I gotta make the most money, gotta do something like that." I didn't even think about playing pro until I talked to Jarrett on the phone from Texas, and he was like, "Yeah, we have a lot of girls who go play pro." Didn't even know it was, like, a thing. I didn't know it was a possibility. Well, I knew it was. I have a friend who did it, but I didn't realize that, there were so many people that did it overseas. It's really big overseas. But I still was like, "Okay, it's interesting," it was in the back of my mind, but I was still money, 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 job, no job, work, 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 network, network, network. And to be honest, I did not even consider playing professionally until probably a few months before the end of my last season. As my first season at Texas, we won the championship, but I was so burnt out, I wanted to quit. I told the coaches, like, "Look, I'm done." They're like, "Just wait for the spring, hang on through the spring, see if things get better, and if things don't change, then you're free to go." By the end of spring, I was like, "I still love volleyball, I wanna stay." And then my whole perspective changed in terms of like, "Okay, well, I guess, this is more of a, like, an opportunity, not something I'm being forced
Mhm.
to do." And that did kinda change my perspective. I was like, "Well, I actually am really grateful for this physical ability I have and the shape I'm in and the training I've had." And, that mindset of like, "Well, I wanna reach my full potential," is still there. I don't wanna look back and think, "Damn, I wish I had just stayed playing." It's like, "You know what? Screw it. let's try it. Let's see what happens. I've had a few coaches I really admire, so they really believe in me and think I can do amazing things. And it's like those comments at the end of the day I think about, it's like, okay, let's just keep going and see what happens. So
Yeah.
it's always in the back of my mind a little bit like, oh, I did an internship this summer with Love because I'm still trying to build that like business acumen. Yeah, it was a very last minute decision, and I still don't know how long I want to keep playing for. I feel good now physically. I feel happy. I feel like my body's in good condition. Grateful for AU because I get to be surrounded by some more experienced players here who have been playing for a long time, who have families now, who came back to play. Um, and I just have more appreciation for what a great opportunity this is to just play. Like everyone wants to be in this position to get paid a living wage to literally bounce volleyball around.
It's
I
a
don't see it
dream,
like
sister.
I you know, I don't see it like that. I
I
see it as
know.
like, okay, I'm like a warrior going to war every day, and like I'm trying to like strengthen my improve my crafts.
No, it's a job. I mean, that's the
Yeah.
thing too. It's easy for people from the outside to, like you said, like play volleyball and get paid. You're working on your mental, like you're saying, you're working on your physical, you're working on your own battles every single day that you want to better. And I think you just need to give yourself a lot of credit.
Yeah. Yeah. I do try to see it like that. I find that throughout my volleyball career, the best things that have come to me in my career have come to me when I didn't have expectations, but I just tried my hardest. Like when it came to volleyball, like I didn't have expectations. I wanted to make the varsity team in high school, and then I ended up making varsity and getting a I didn't even think about playing college, and then I got a full ride to one of the best to my dream school. And then even from there, it was like, okay, I just want to be a starter at some point. And then it was
Mhm.
okay. I just want to like make a top 30 team in the country, and then like I get a call from
Mhm.
Texas, and it's like, shoot, all right, well, like I'm already here. Like I wasn't expecting to win one national championship, let alone two national championships. It always comes back to like just try your hardest and really try to enjoy it, and good things will come. Saying like that it's so difficult, like trying to be a high achiever and have these goals in your mind, and you equate like it's either this or bust, but it's not.
Yeah.
And the good things happen when you like just loosen your grip a little bit. Like, you maintain your work ethic, but you loosen your grip and you just accept
Mhm.
like I have faith in my ability. Like I know good things will happen. I just need to like try to stop controlling it so much. Things
It's
just kind of
hard
fall in
though.
line. Totally is hard.
Yeah.
Totally is hard.
Especially as an athlete of the level that you like, just everything you've done, it like that's probably the most challenging part too, is like, yes, obviously it's a physical toll, but I think it's just a mental toll of like, hey, accepting like the things that are amazing that have happened to you. It just took time for it to pan itself out and get there. Honestly, it's like, when is it enough? As athletes, we're like, you're built that way, you haven't stopped thinking that way. And I think it's hard to, it's not a bad thing either. I think it's actually good. It's
Yeah, I agree. It's kind of how the brain that works now at this point. It's just been morphed the last 15 years into like achieve as much as possible
yeah.
instead of like just be happy. Yeah.
Next step for Bella Bergmark is the Olympics. Well,
Well, I mean, of course, I like at this point in my career, the next step up would to be playing for the national team. Like that is the next like step, or it would be playing in a league, an international league that has at a super high level, like Italy or Turkey. Although I am playing in the States for next year, and I don't really want to go back overseas, but like if it's necessary, I will.
yeah.
So it's like you have to be it's hard when you're close, you know what I mean? But you don't know how far away it is, and there is a possibility it might not ever happen, and there's there's a possibility that it also might happen. And it's like how do you move through life knowing that like you just don't know. You don't know. My brain really struggles with that. It's one of my big things. It's like anything I don't know, I don't have the answer to drives me up the wall. I ruminate on it. It's like I get so stressed out. So that's something I'm working on. It's just I don't know what the future holds, and I cannot guarantee I'm going to make any of those teams. How am I going to make the most out of my life until then?
I'm just like you. Like I wish I could have my life laid out in front of me. So I'm like, oh yep, this is the next chapter. Oh yep, this is the next step. And I think that's the hardest part about it. And it's so frustrating. We want to control what the future holds. We'll do whatever it takes to make it happen. You've definitely been taking the right steps in the direction. You might not notice in the time of like what the next step would be after, but I think your trajectory is pretty solid.
Yeah, I mean, it feels solid also, but it doesn't, there's so many unknown factors, just a lot of amazing volleyball players in this world. This is where it gets hard. It's hard.
Mhm.
It's like there's so many, especially in the US, there's so many extremely talented women in the same exact
Yeah,
position as me who I can't say, "I'm better than her. That should be me." I can't say that because
yeah,
there's just so many talented women. And so it's like I don't wanna make comparisons like that either, and this is not who I am. I try to approach it as more of
yeah.
like, "Wow, what can I" if you're someone who's in the position that I actually wanna be in, like, what can I learn? Like, what are you thinking? Like, what are you seeing that I'm not seeing? Like, let me learn from you, and let me use this to motivate me. And I'm not saying if I can do what you're doing, then we're gonna switch spots. I don't know if that's gonna happen, but I do know if I learn from you and you have something I don't have, I will inevitably grow and become better, sharper, faster, smarter. And that is, I guess, the goal, regardless of rosters that you make, you know?
Great mindset to have. Accepting where you're at and looking for where you can go next and who you can leverage for that is huge. And you're not letting those people stop you. You're using them as like a catalyst for your life and your career.
Yeah, and I think maybe a younger me would be really threatened by, people who have accomplished more than I have or have accomplished things I want to accomplish. I think younger me would have been really threatened, which I feel like is a normal response at some point in our life. But now I'm slowly realizing just being able to accept, like, look, I might never make the national team. It might never happen. And I got to accept that. You know what I mean? Doesn't mean I'm like a terrible person. Like, it
No,
is what it is.
not at all.
But that doesn't mean I'm done. That doesn't mean I'll never grow as a volleyball player. It doesn't mean I'm done
Hmm.
getting better as a volleyball player. You know what I mean? I don't have control over rosters. Like, I guess there are gaps in my resume. I need to keep working on those and whatever happens, which is a very hard perspective to have. And it's coming out of my mouth so easily right now in everyday application. It's very difficult. I just want to think about getting better at my skill. I want to work on running slides. I want to work on
Yeah,
pressing, my inside hand, and I want to work on getting better at reading. If I am just improving these things, then whatever happens, happens. I can't really focus on this is the goal one day. Just like
yeah.
looking at my history of everything I've accomplished, it's never thought that is what I want and got that. I've always gotten more than I ever expected just by thinking, I just want better for myself. And then things just
Mhm.
happen.
You're the type of person to make that better for yourself, and I think it's amazing. And I know I've been keeping you so long, so I'm sorry. And I have two last questions for you, if that's
No, I'm
okay.
enjoying this conversation. Yeah.
Me too. And so I guess like given where you are, where you could go, given what you've been through, like if there's a young middle blocker out there and has a dream of following a path like yours with the mindset like you, what is one piece of advice you could give to them?
I'm a very sensitive person. So I'd say if I am speaking to a younger middle who has a mindset like my own, who persists nonetheless, I think that's really what it is. Like, if I'm talking to a younger self, I'm saying, 1, no one is looking at you as intensely and as closely as you think they are. No one's analyzing every single micro step you take. So it's okay. Take a breath. 2, I would say that you can have a ton of anxiety, a ton of overthinking, and a ton of like that little monster in the back of your mind can be there. Don't freak out if it's there. Like this is a normal thing. Don't freak out if it's there. Accept that it's there. But know and trust that you can still do your job with it there. Like your player mindset and the little monster in the back of your mind can coexist. And once you learn that they can coexist, that just because it's here, you don't need to punish yourself for this little voice being here. That you are capable, and it takes time. You have to build self-trust. You need to build evidence that, wait, I can still play well. I can still do things for the team, even if I'm feeling
Hmm.
anxious.
Hmm.
But once you have that self-trust, like, just know that those things can come thief of joy. And this is a lesson that never goes away, and it's a lesson that will come back over and over and over again because I don't think any of our problems ever go away. I think they come back. We just get better at dealing with them every time we see them. So remove those expectations. No one's looking at you under a microscope. Learn to make friends with a voice in the back of your head who's telling you you're not good enough, but know that
Hmm.
they're not telling the truth. I would also say make sure you're like investing in your life outside of volleyball. There's a lot of things outside of volleyball.
There is. It's
I
true.
have so much like learn instruments, learn languages, try karate, go to festivals, spend time with your family, build something that you love and care about, volunteer at an animal shelter, whatever. Have things outside of volleyball that you tie your self-esteem to, because if you tie your entire self-esteem to the result of your volleyball things, you're gonna be upset probably most of the time. Most of the time, because to
Yeah.
fail is to learn, and there's a lot of learning that goes on in volleyball.
Do you have any escapes that you have outside of volleyball for you?
Yeah, well, I actually when I went to Puerto Rico, I took, lessons on how to DJ, so I love to DJ, I love music. I played a ton of instruments as a kid, so I do love music. Right now, I am trying to do a lot of, like, social media content stuff. I like thinking about content, thinking about, what I can how I can share my knowledge with the world, things like
Mhm.
that. That's fun. I'm also glad to be around oh, my friends. In France, actually, one of my teammates and I, one of the other Americans, we'd be like, "Hey, you wanna go for a walk? Let's go for a walk." And we would just check out these, like, old historic parts, just learning. Anything that has to do
Yeah.
with learning, I'm there for it.
I really have loved your content that you've posted. You're really good at it. You're really creative.
This is, like, my 4th attempt at really trying to pursue the social media presence, because 'cause I've always
Yeah.
stopped because 'cause I'm tired, I don't wanna think about content ideas, I'm worried about other people think about me, and, like, this is the 4th and final time. I've made an agreement with myself, I'm fricking doing this, and I'm not letting my
Mhm.
analytics discourage me, I'm not letting that one ex-boyfriend I had in high school, like, "What's he gonna think?" I'm not, like, letting that discourage me. In my mind, I'm so committed to the social media thing, I'm like 'cause you can only like, the people who succeed are just the ones who try it again after they failed that last time, you know?
Yeah,
So,
and they're the ones that don't care. They're like the ones that don't care about their
yes.
digital footprint. They don't care about what people think of them. You even said this yourself, like nobody's staring at you at a microscope. They'll see it. They can have their own thoughts or opinions or whatever. But like if you're successful in it, in your definition of success, whatever that is, like it doesn't matter what those people think. And I think that's the hard part of social media and being like a creator in some sort is like getting that worry out of your head, and it's so much easier said than done. Like, I'm working on that myself, but just know you're doing great, and I think every single thing that I've seen that you've posted is, like, never even thought twice about it, so I hope you take that and
I
run with it
appreciate it.
because you gotta keep it up. Like, you're rocking it, and I just see you being really successful with that on top of it, and you have a
I
cool
appreciate
platform
that.
to have.
That makes me
Yeah.
feel really good. Thank you for that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no, seriously, it's really good stuff. It, like, inspires me a little bit, so
Oh, I'm so happy to hear that.
it does. Oh my gosh.
It's so nice hearing positive feedback, because then it's like, okay, am I gonna let the opinion of someone from my hometown who I haven't spoken to in 10 years, like
No.
what they might be thinking about me, I don't even know, like prevent me, or am I gonna actually like put myself out there, allow myself to be seen regardless of the response?
Mhm.
And it's comments like that, and it's people in my DMs who are like, "Oh my god, like thank you so much. This is so helpful to me," and that really
Yeah.
makes it worth it. And I'm like, that
Yeah,
I
hey, that
know
one person you make a difference for, it makes a difference. I mean,
it
I think about
does.
that all the time. I just, like, relate to you in that realm more than you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's a common feeling for sure.
Yeah.
Thank you for commenting on that, I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, last question for you is,
Mhm.
like and we've talked about it a little bit, but at the pro level, like, what is the one thing you go to work on every day? Like, you feel like you're always improving or wanting to improve, but is there things specifically technically wise or mentally wise that you're like, "All right, I go in and I know this is what I have to do for this team."
Yeah, I think it just depends on what you're working on. In France, I was there for 9 months, we had so much time to pick apart every little thing. I think every skill you're always trying to work on something. 'Cause learning it takes a long time, sometimes learning happens fast, sometimes change happens fast, sometimes it happens slow. I think now in this AU experience, I am busting my tail to stay off the net when I'm running a slide and really work on tracking the ball, staying off the net, staying inside. I hate this narrative that's like, "Oh, you're either a slide middle or you're a middle in front." And I've always been like that middle in front position. I haven't received the feedback that I want to hear. It's really actually been helpful to me to make the changes I want to make. And I'm
Mhm.
getting there. I'm getting there, like slowly but surely. I'm trying new things. I'm trying things that haven't been told to me before, but I'm just thinking like from a volleyball like biomechanics perspective, like, okay, well, if I'm
Mhm.
always reaching like this, I probably need to come inside to keep the ball on my hitting side. So on the side, I am working on starting my approach way far back because I am a broad jumper. Starting my approach way far back jumping inside the court, over exaggerating the technical feedback that I am trying to apply. If I want to stay off the net, I'm going to try to jump from like the 8-foot line and know that because my tendency is to jump from the 2-foot line, I'll probably land somewhere in the middle, which puts me in a better position to adapt to whatever the set is. And also I think I haven't played in 6 months, so just getting the reading skills back in, back to the condition they were before. Okay, hand positioning, tendencies, where's the pass, some setters like to check and make their decisions afterwards. Yeah. And then also serving tough. It's really important to have a good serve and just working on keeping the hand up high, because when I jump and have a contact at a really high point, the flow, if I can get it at the right point, the flow that it produces it's hard, it's fast, and it's difficult to pass. And just being able to recreate that, not just do it one every 5 serves, like do it consistently these
Yeah.
are things I'm working on for sure.
I love that. Thanks for sharing that. I appreciate it. There was this I went to the Michigan State U of volleyball game last weekend. And there's this one girl on their team, and she does this like wicked topspin serve. She literally throws it 40 feet in the air and then does her jump topspin. And like I think she partially does it to throw the other team off, of like how long it takes for the ball to come back down and stuff. I was like, have not seen that like in a long time. It was just interesting.
Yeah. Well, I think at the pro level, like some people do top spins and they will nail the top spin
Yeah.
so hard every single
Yeah.
time. They can be easier to pass if it's not very hard driven. But when you get these tall girls just putting their whole life into the ball when they're serving, it is hard to pass when that thing is coming fast and spinning and yeah.
You
So
have no
it
time to
depends.
read it. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I don't pass. These are observations I have from my teammates who try to pass these balls. But
Yeah.
yeah, at a higher level, the top spin is pretty lethal. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I give you a lot of credit. You're amazing. I could talk to you for hours, and I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, thank you for reaching out. I love chatting like this, I feel like someone's gonna hear this and be inspired. I want, and also anything I can do to help with your platform as well. I love what you're doing, and I think you should, you know, keep doing it. It's been a ton of fun. And yes, definitely stay in touch.